So good morning, everybody. I'm Linda Sechrist, and I'm one of the founders of Grokking Wholeness. And I have here with me today one of the other founders, Dr. Carol Roberts, who is a functional medicine doctor. And we're going to talk about what you can do as much as possible to avoid getting cancer, which seems rather rampant these days. So,
Indeed. So, yeah, I've been a holistic, functional, integrative doctor now since the late 1980s, which you can calculate for yourself. And before that, I was a standard American ear, nose, and throat surgeon. So I was very well respected in the community until I went rogue. And then they stopped talking to me. And it was very frustrating because I felt like I had learned things beyond what I learned in medical school. And I so wanted to share it with my colleagues. And I was so excited to find out that there were more things we could do. And one of the things that I really realized at the time was prevention beats rescue. And,
um,
and that we were never taught anything about prevention. So when they talk about preventative medicine, they're really talking about early detection. So a mammogram is not preventative. It may actually induce cancer because it is giving radiation to the same body part over and over again. So tip number one, ladies, no more mammograms unless you do something else first. For example, a thermography, and something is off with that, then I would advise a mammogram. Very good. So again, prevention may be vaccination. I do agree with that. And vaccinations have worked for the majority of childhood illnesses. We're not talking cancer here, but just
oh,
prevention versus the necessity to save somebody later on. So the prevention actually means never getting the disease in the first place. So if we're going to talk about cancer, we have to talk about what causes cancer. And
okay.
the thinking is very much changing these days. So for many, many decades, the cancer research industry has been going off the theory that cancer is caused by genetic alterations, by something coming along like radiation or toxins or something, and damaging the genes in maybe one cell or two or three cells. And those cells become supercharged and start growing without limit, without any kind of checks and balances against the whole body. So the theory is cancer is rogue cells gone mad. The new theory, however, is metabolic. So when we talk metabolism, we're talking about mitochondria. And our mitochondria are actually stowaways. They have hooked up with biologic cells way before humans and become synergistic with them. So these cells that, say, jellyfish cells
Mhm.
or primitive organisms would not be able to generate their own energy. We do metabolize light, but only through our mitochondria. And we break down the fuel that plants make from light by utilizing the carbohydrates that plants produce in our mitochondria. So the mitochondrial stowaways have become essential to our well-being, to our very existence. We provide them a safe home, and they provide us energy. Mitochondria have their own DNA,
Oh,
which is not human DNA.
no?
It's bacterial DNA. So they're actually parasites, intracellular parasites, who are not sucking energy, but producing and donating energy to every single cell. So that's the scenario where we're going to be talking. When the mitochondrial DNA is damaged, well, let me not even go there. It's not the DNA, it's the cellular mechanisms that are damaged. So if I may be so bold, I don't have the picture with me, but the way we produce energy in the mitochondria is pretty complex. Imagine you're pouring in the components of food, carbohydrate, fat, and protein. All three of those substrates can be utilized to make ATP, which is the energy molecule, which is like the currency of energy. ATP is adenosine, which is a complicated molecule, plus three phosphates, which is just PO4. Three of those. When phosphates are cleaved off of that adenosine, they liberate a lot of energy.
Huh?
So that's how every cell in our body, your brain, your heart, your liver, and all the rest, are able to stay alive, is because these mitochondria are turning food into ATP.
Okay.
And it is quite a complex cascade, as you may imagine. It's called the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, which produces a molecule called NAD or FAD,
I've heard of
which,
NAD.
yes, you have, because people are spending a lot of money
Yes.
to purchase IV NAD or oral NAD or whatnot. NAD is not the end of the story. It's only partway there, because then the NAD with an H attached, a hydrogen attached, goes down the electron transport chain, which is again a complex cascade, another one, that takes the NADH or the FADH and pops out ATP on the other side. In that cascade are four complexes plus coenzyme Q10,
Wow.
which you've heard of, I
And
know.
I take.
Good. And everyone who's on statins should be on CoQ10, because your body's ability to produce CoQ10 is altered and damaged by statin drugs. So if your doctor didn't tell you that yet, please know now. Go and buy some coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10. They sell it everywhere, including Costco.
Yeah.
Quality matters, but let's just stick to the topic
Okay.
and see that this electron transport chain can also be damaged. When there are toxins on board, the Krebs cycle and or the electron transport chain can both be damaged, can both be slowed down, can be virtually stopped. So what happens when somebody is on a statin drug, for example, and their own body cannot make CoQ10, then the whole thing slows down, because each step is critical. When the Krebs cycle is damaged, then it becomes very difficult for that mitochondrion to produce energy from anything other than glucose or glutamine, actually. Whereas a normal mitochondrion will be able to produce energy also from fat and protein, mostly fat. Glucose is the preferred fuel, and most things are food is turned into glucose for that purpose. But if you have no glucose on board whatsoever, if you have normal mitochondria, you will still produce energy.
Mhm.
The interesting thing about cancer is that it must have glucose as a fuel. It cannot process fat.
Hmm. That is interesting.
It is, and it's I still have a hard time understanding why that cell with that mitochondrion then suddenly becomes immortal.
Mm.
We are going backwards in evolution because once upon a time, single cells were everything.
Yes.
Everything was the individual cell, and the way that cell reproduced was simply to split in two.
Too.
So that would imply immortality of a single cell. Well, eventually these single cells crowded each other out and they morphed into a new evolutionary phase where they kind of got together and said, okay, let's form an organism,
Yes.
a multicellular organism, where we parcel out the different jobs. And you be a heart cell, and I'll be a liver cell, and we'll work together with the skin cells and with the collagen, the fibrous tissue, and with the eyes and the brain and the hair and everything that is us. But no single cell then is immortal, and no organism is immortal. So then we developed sexual reproduction,
Ah,
okay, which makes life more interesting for sure.
for sure.
But it also takes away the immortality of the individual. Okay, so that's a normal human, no longer immortal, but a collaborative effort.
Important word.
Very important word. So when a mitochondrion goes rogue, gets damaged, can no longer fuel itself with all the macronutrients that the human body can, it reverts to its primitive program and it becomes immortal and begins to divide and divide and divide without any curb, without any way to slow it down. And that's what we call cancer. So then knowledge of how the mitochondrion functions and what it needs to be healthy and alive can lead us to new treatments and new ways to prevent cancer. So back to the prevention. It's really pretty much the same whether you're talking about genetic changes or you're talking about metabolic changes. Avoiding toxins is the key. So once upon a time, we lived in a world that was clean.
Yes.
It
Not
was
not
clean.
anymore.
We didn't make new compounds. We didn't take oil and make plastic out of it. We didn't make things that kill organisms like pesticides and herbicides. When you kill a so-called pest, what are you doing? You are murdering insects. The birds then eat those insects.
Yes.
They die. And so on up the chain until we reach humans. So if your food is not organic and it's laced with pesticides and herbicides, you then are ingesting these compounds. And no matter how much the chemical companies protest that they're not toxic to humans. They are toxic by design to the food chain and to the microorganisms that live in our own bodies. So the first thing is avoidance of toxic chemicals. So food, of course, is laced with toxins. Even organic can be pretty toxic because these things are airborne, they're water soluble. They wind up in everybody's fields through the rain, through the rivers, etc. It is virtually unavoidable. A baby, an infant,
Oh, yes, I've heard this.
yes, they tested cord blood, which of all things in the universe should be pristine and clean.
Yeah.
And there was an average of 254 chemicals in that cord blood, of course, coming through mom.
Um,
So we're born behind the 8 ball.
oh,
I know. I know. It's grotesque. It's wrong, and we've got to stop.
we do, but what happens? I know that there are detoxes. I mean, not occasionally, but regularly, you should try to detox your body. So, what do you suggest for that, for detoxing?
Well, yeah, so that brings us to the list of toxic chemicals. Not all of them never existed before. For example, heavy metals. These are elements. They were created in stars many billions of light years away. They're natural, but what's not natural is the purification of heavy metals. So what do I mean? I mean arsenic, lead, aluminum, cadmium, beryllium, gadolinium, et cetera, and so on and so on. And we use them industrially, and we use them sometimes in solder in our pipes, water carrying pipes. The lead caps on wine bottles, cadmium colors for artists. By the way, my artists are generally my most toxic patients because they're dealing with these chemicals all the time.
In the paints, or where are they? The
In
paint?
paints, in clays, in glazes,
Oh, jeez.
all the colors. So they need to be particularly aware. The good news is that heavy metals can be removed from the body. So mercury is another one that
That's in the dentist. I think are some of them are still using that. It's sad, sad, sad. Yes.
indeed, and people need to know, and they need to refuse mercury fillings, and they need to have their mercury fillings removed by a dentist that knows the right way to do it. Because mercury, as you know, is a liquid at room temperature. And when you drill the mercury in your teeth, which has been combined with other sometimes toxic metals to make it solid, it vaporizes. And
Yes.
both you and the dentist and the dental assistants are all breathing in a heavy dose of mercury. So I have to tell you, I have seen several dentists who were smart enough to come to me and who were pretty sick at the time
Oh.
and turned out to have huge deposits of mercury in their brain. Mercury prefers the brain.
Ooh.
Cadmium prefers the kidneys. Lead prefers the bone marrow.
Oh.
So you may be looking at the origins of glioblastoma in the brain, kidney cancer, and the leukemias in the bone marrow. So, here we are. Why is that? Because in the Krebs cycle, the heavy metals interfere with the generation of energy. So if I should have that picture for you. Um, I'll put it up later and we can
Okay.
add it in. I know Bob will know how to do that. To show where in the Krebs cycle these injuries occur. So heavy metals actually can be removed through a process called chelation. Chelation is nothing but a chemical process. It happens in the soil. In fact, soil bacteria are the best chelators in the world. They take rock, which is undigestible to plant roots, to humans, to anybody, and they break down the rock and marry it to the soil amino acids. And the amino acids then make this complex acceptable to the plant roots. So your plants can ingest magnesium from the soil, calcium from the soil, etc., and all the other necessary components to life because of the process of chelation. So when a doctor talks about chelation, or a doctor who knows about it, because many of
As you were talking, Carol, I was thinking to myself that, these bodies are such miracles. I mean, all we do is put food and liquid in them, and it does everything else. It does all those processes that you talked about. We don't think about any of it. It just happens.
Mhm.
I'm just amazed that medicine doesn't think of the body as some kind of miracle. They, because if you really, if you give it the right food, and the rest and the exercise and etc., it can heal itself. The doctor's a good guide, but it's just amazing to me.
Well, and rightfully so, because our brains can tease it out. We're very smart. We have these giant brains, and we can go and figure it out. But could we ever have invented even one cell?
No.
Never. We cannot even imagine what creative genius brought forth all of this miraculous stuff. And I'm just talking chemistry now.
Yes.
Okay. Chemistry is fabulous and it's awesome, but it's not everything. We also are physics. So when we talk about toxins, we have to talk about the energies around us. So we know that there's radiation, gamma radiation, and all kinds of Greek letter radiations that are generated by the sun, by stars far away, that pass right through our bodies. Sometimes they do a little damage, sometimes they don't. But what about the human generated energies? The one that allows us to talk to each other right now.
Yes.
Okay, our 5G networks,
Yeah.
our phones,
Phones, our computers,
everything is generating waves of energy
energy.
that go right into and through our bodies. In some cases, these can do enormous damage. So when I see these kids running around with their phones right up to their heads,
Yeah.
I'm thinking somebody should tell them, you're working on getting a brain tumor, kid. Please don't do that. Even the Bluetooth
Earphones.
earbuds.
Yeah.
But yes, the what you should be using is a wired
I use those. Yeah.
earpieces.
I
Yeah,
got a new phone and I did not get those earpods. I got the ones that you plug into the phone. And as
good.
often as I can, I just leave my phone and turn the speaker on so that I can hear people and don't have to put it up. But yeah.
Well, I hope the word gets out because that is super important. So, oh boy, there's so much to talk about here.
Yeah.
So we were talking about chelation.
We were, yes.
Yeah. So let me get back to that for a moment.
Okay.
Chelation is done medically through the administration of a chemical magnet that is very attracted to these toxic metals. For example, EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Yeah, I know. Who cares? The EDTA is very, very attracted to lead. It will pull out lead first. So you can take it by mouth. You can take it intravenous. Giving it intravenous is much faster, as you can imagine, and quite safe. It's been done since the 1940s. Chelation was invented when sailors who were painting the battleships with leaded paint
That paint.
were getting sick, and they figured out why. And then they had to figure out a way to remove the lead from these sailors. So they did. So why
Ah,
isn't this part of the armamentarium of every cancer doctor or
yeah.
every general practitioner? Because actually, and this is pretty cynical, but it happens to be true, when they looked at those same sailors 20 years later, they found they had a much lower rate of heart disease, a much lower rate of cancer. And why would you want to do that when the idea is to feed the machine, the
Yeah.
cancer treatment machine? So when I was a little girl, many, many, many centuries ago, I would go around. I lived in an apartment building in New York with my mother. I must have been 6 or 7 years old, collecting money for cancer research. And lo and behold, many decades later, we still don't have an answer.
No. Well, there are answers. They're just not out there.
Well, there are treatments. There are many super expensive, super toxic treatments that themselves can cause cancer or even death that they're happy to supply to you. But a $2,000 or $3,000 course of treatment with a chelating agent to get rid of these heavy metals, nobody ever suggests such a thing.
No.
So now here we are in the 21st century, and we're still looking for a cure for cancer. When you're correct, there have been many, there still are many. They're coming out now because of the internet.
Ah, yes. Can't hold that now. Can't hold
Yes, we'll do another talk on
yes,
this.
yes.
Treatment is another story. Right now, we're talking prevention
Attention.
and the things that people can do. So look for somebody who does chelation. Get after the age of 50, I think it's worthwhile to start chelating. If you're sick, if you've lived in a city, if you have a occupation that exposes you to heavy metals, like being a plumber or an artist, um, go get some chelation. And when you do, ask the doctor to demonstrate that it's working and to show you when you're done.
Is that through
So
blood tests? Do they
uh,
test your blood to find
blood
out
is
if it's
not the
working?
right way. Many doctors use blood, but blood is not the right way. Our brilliant bodies would not circulate these toxins. Why would they circulate when all they do is bioaccumulate? We don't have efficient ways of eliminating them. So what the body does is it pushes them into storage instead. So if you do a blood test, you're not measuring how much lead is actually in your body. You're
Oh,
measuring how much you've been exposed to in the last 6 hours.
oh
Hmm,
my goodness.
yes. So think about that. The best way to measure the body burden is to do a chelation treatment and then capture the urine that results.
Okay.
So for 6 hours, you collect urine after the treatment, send it to the lab, and the lab will tell you what's in there.
Oh, okay.
There's no way to measure total body burden. There just isn't. You know, mercury and lead are not magnetic. We can't measure that. So we just can't know. So what we do instead is to give repeated treatments until the urine is clear.
Oh, okay.
So that may take a long time.
Mm.
I generally guess for people with normal exposure that it's going to probably be about one treatment per year of life.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So figure that,
Yeah.
which it's not generally necessary to chelate children. They haven't had enough time to accumulate enough, unless mom was very toxic, and then they draw the metals into their
Yeah.
fetal bodies. So again, it's very individual. It's very hard to know what somebody's exposure has been during their lifetime. If somebody lived in Flint, Michigan for 10 years and drank the water there, they
Yeah.
wouldn't know that they were ingesting lead. But we would see a higher lead level. And Flint, trust me, is not the only city with
No,
that
it's
problem.
not. No.
So chelation is a slow and gentle process. It should not cause damage. It removes these metals from the mitochondria, which makes them healthier and less likely to revert to a cancerous state. So that's one way that we really can help prevent cancer.
How long does that treatment, when you're in getting that treatment, how long does it last? One treatment?
Around an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. It's an IV?
It's I prefer to do it as an IV. We
Okay.
can do it by mouth, and then it's 3 days on and 11 days off. So you have
Oh,
a 2 week cycle. And as you can imagine, that takes a lot longer.
yes.
And it doesn't really get into your bones or into your brain. What it does is it picks up what's in the gut
Oh, okay.
and maybe some in the blood, and then it's filtered through the kidneys and out it goes. And then everything kind of equilibrates. So next time you do it, there's more lead to pick up,
Oh, okay.
but it's much slower. So I would say doing that might take several years.
There used to be somebody in Naples who did that. That's all they did was the chelation. It was a doctor. But I don't know if they're still around or not. I'll have to look and see.
Well, I do chelation.
Oh, so you can it's not a special thing. You can do it yourself. That I didn't know that.
No, I mean, I'm a doctor and I offer chelation to my patients.
Okay.
So it does take certain training, but you don't have to specialize in that. You can, I mean, if you've got people, a population who is aware enough and if you can survive on that, great. But it's one tool in an arsenal of tools. So
Is there
then, I'm
is there anything lesser? I mean, like the average person in their lifestyle other than organic, we're talking about cleaning, detoxing. Is there anything else that people can do? I know that I have done detox, as far as eating, and I had some herbs that I took. It's been a while since I did that, so I don't recall all the details of it. But is there something that people can do at home?
Sure, of course. So if we're talking about metals, there are foods that will chelate. So for example, vitamin C is a chelating agent.
Oh, okay.
It's not specific for that, but it does do some of the job. Chlorophyll is a chelator. So every green plant that you eat is doing a benefit to your body.
Okay.
Um, There are many others, parsley and cilantro and all those things. Anything with chlorophyll in it and other foods. But and yeah, so you should eat with that in mind.
Mind, yes.
Now we've just tackled the subject of heavy metals. Let's talk about chemicals. So most of these chemicals are derived from petroleum, and they are toxic to the body, to the mitochondria, and very definitely cancer causing. So to get them out of your body, because it's impossible to kind of walk through the raindrops and not get wet, right? We're all exposed all of the time. These chemicals can be released from the body in various ways. So my favorite way is through sweat.
Ah, saunas.
Sauna, sunshine, lie out on the beach and give yourself a detox treatment. Sauna, particularly, when you go in the sauna and make sure you're hydrated with clean water, you're expelling toxins through your skin. Make sure you shower afterwards so you don't just reabsorb them. Okay. And I've stopped using hair dye and
Okay.
I've started using henna instead.
I used to use that. I loved it. I loved the smell of it.
It's non-toxic. It
Yes.
does the job. You don't have a lot of choices. Nowadays, you have more than used to. But I suddenly recognized myself again. This is my original hair color.
Okay.
Uh,
Great.
and I do it at home and I do it frequently. It's very easy to do, very inexpensive. I'm not paying hundreds of dollars to go to the hairdresser. I just pay her 100 when I get my hair cut.
And actually that's actually good for your hair. It makes your hair healthier.
I think it
Doing
does.
your hair good.
Right. So that brings us then to the topic of cosmetics.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So many women smear stuff all over their faces every morning and every night, and they have no idea what's in
No.
those things. So I want to promote another website called EWG.org.
Oh, yes. Environmental working
Environmental
group.
Working Group, right, who puts out the list of chemicals to avoid, foods that you must eat organic, foods that it doesn't matter, products that are okay to use and products that are not okay to use. So I haven't memorized those, but I have memorized EWG.org. So for that. So get your products from the right manufacturers. I know Eminence is a brand that I like because it's made in Hungary,
Okay.
and that's where my parents came from. So I'm very proud of that brand. It's all made of edible products. They're all perfectly okay to use. Um, okay, what else? Detox. So you were talking about detox. There are as many detox protocols as there are practitioners who do detox, who recommend detox. There are liver detoxes, there are kidney detoxes, there are brain detoxes, there are gut detoxes. And, without boring people, I would say find your favorite protocol, try it, see if you like it, and then use it regularly. So I would recommend doing a detox at least twice a year. And
Okay.
I would target for most people the liver, because your liver is the chemical clearinghouse and it needs all the help it can get.
Yes, it does, especially if you drink alcohol.
Yeah,
It needs all the help it can get.
exactly. And especially if you don't eat organic food,
Yes.
which is a huge mistake. And I know it's more expensive, but trust me, it's worth it. If you don't pay the extra dollar for the organic produce, you're going to pay the extra 100,000 for the chemo at the other end. Right.
Yes, that's how I look at it. You either pay now or pay later.
That's right. Pay big time. So what else do you want to know?
Well, we talked about food, which is really that's I think probably the most important. Then we have sleep, we have stress, and what's the other one? Exercise, sleep, and stress. I guess were the three that I was thinking of that do help. I mean, you can sweat while you're running or what, especially in Florida where we live, it's so hot out, automatic. Um, but people have trouble as they age sleeping, and so I know some people don't get the sleep that they need. And if you don't exercise and do anything, then kind of everything's stagnating in there. That's how I look at it anyway.
Correct. You're right. You need to flush things out and to get your blood moving and your heart beating, get your lungs expanding is of huge benefit. But I want to say a word about sleep. So I bought an Aura ring, Oura.
Don't you have it on? Can you hold it up? Is it
I'll get it.
okay? I know you had it when you were here before.
Yeah, it's charging. This is what it looks like. It fits on this finger for me, and you can get them in different sizes. And it
Okay.
has little lights on the inside and little sensors you can't really
Oh, okay.
see. Sometimes they're red and sometimes they're green, and I don't know what that means. But it also checks your heart rate. It checks your oxygenation, and it tells you how much time you spend in different levels of sleep.
Oh, deep sleep is the best. So,
Deep sleep is crucial for cleaning out your brain because during deep sleep, these spindles of energy flow go from back to front in the brain, or maybe it's front to back, I don't remember. And it somehow pushes toxins out of the brain. So deep sleep is crucial. And as we age, deep sleep gets less and less. But it's helpful to know and to track. Now,
okay,
whether this thing is hooked into Bill Gates' mega universe, I don't know. I really don't care. How important can I be in the overall uh,
right.
plan? But it does give me valuable information. So I would recommend that if you're having trouble sleeping, get some sort of thing to track your sleep. An Apple Watch will do it, a Fitbit, a Garmin watch, the various types of, but this one is designed to do just that. It costs about $300. You get it from Finland. And first, they'll send you the plastic sizers so
Oh,
you
okay.
know what size to get. I keep them in my office. So if a person wants to
Oh,
order one, they can skip that step. But then you can see you can try different interventions and see what gives you the best night's sleep. So hormones, progesterone particularly,
helps with sleep.
helps very much with sleep. It relaxes the brain and it protects the brain cells. I like theanine, which is an amino acid. It relaxes and it tends to give me better deep sleep. Ashwagandha can do that too. Magnolia, Relora is the brand name, and various other things that you can try this, try that, and see what works best.
That works best.
It's really important too to go to bed early. It's early in the evening that you get your deep sleep, and later in the night and early morning when you get your REM sleep, your dream sleep, which is quite true. I can tell you from wearing this thing for the last 4 years.
So, When you say early, that's something I have I've tried to get up earlier so that I want to go to sleep earlier. And so I've usually around 11 o'clock is when I go to bed, but I'm trying to get to 10. Is there an ideal time to when you say early to bed?
So it's true that different people have different rhythms. So Linda, I'm going to loan you my Aura ring, and
Oh,
we're going to see if going to bed at 11 is the right time for you and how much sleep deep sleep you're actually getting. So
okay.
I could pontificate here all I want, but it's
It's
baloney.
individual. It's kind of individual.
It is, but in general, we are designed to go to bed when the sun goes down,
Goes
when it
down.
gets dark, and to get up when it comes back. So that would be like 8 o'clock.
Oh God.
I know, I know.
Do you
Um,
go to bed that early?
I do. I do, but then I lie there and I'm sad to say watch television until I fall asleep. And then I turn it off when I wake up and continue sleeping. I don't recommend that, but we're all human and I certainly am. And I watch TV when I go to sleep. It's a habit.
I try to read when I go to that will put me to sleep faster than anything else is and then except for if I have something really interesting that I want to, well then one more chapter.
Right, of course, of course. And you can use your books on tape or your Audible as well, and that isn't generating light. So light tends to keep people awake.
Okay.
I could always sleep no matter what, so that's not a
Very
problem.
fortunate. I mean, my brother has a heart condition, and the doctor told him that naps are good, but not more than 45 minutes, and better in the morning than in the afternoon, because it will disrupt his sleep cycle. So he gets up in the morning, and probably he gets up early, like 5 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, he's ready for a nap.
Me too. I do that.
Yeah.
I do that, and then I'm ready to go. And I'm good for the rest of the day until early evening. I can't go dancing anymore. I just can't do it. I can't stay awake. But listen, there are people. So when we were hunter-gatherers, we lived in caves. We had to keep the fire going all
Right.
night. Who did
Right.
that? Who did that? The teenagers. They
Oh,
were awake late, and then the old people got up really early. There was always these shift people who were a little bit out of sync with everybody else. So, but I wouldn't say that lack of sleep is a known cause of cancer,
okay.
but it certainly could be. It's not the best situation, as anybody who's been sleep deprived knows. You just can't function
No,
properly.
the brain doesn't want to work. And the older that I get, I need the sleep to function in the morning. If I have a night of really restless sleep, then my brain, I can tell the difference. It's like it has fuzz in there. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can talk about what was it? Oh, I know what it was. Bob wanted us to talk about food as medicine, but we will save that for another Zoom call.
Sure. Just let me mention, these chemicals are in everything. When you buy a new carpet or a new car or a new sofa or a new shirt, you are purchasing chemicals which then will outgas into your lungs and maybe cause lung cancer down the road. So, if you're really meticulous, you should shop at the thrift shops. You should get used furniture or, you know, or organic furniture. So there are companies that are making organic mattresses and sheets. We're in bed 8 hours out of the day. So that's a crucial place to be thinking like this. So everything new has potential to be carcinogenic. Yeah.
Okay. Think we covered everything?
Oh, far from it,
Far
but I
from.
think we should stop. We're probably boring people.